Africa's economy is projected to grow 4.8% in 2013 and accelerate a further 5.3% in 2014. There is growing international attention on Africa as an investment destination, and increasing talk of an African economic renaissance. For sustained growth pattern, SME plays a vital role. An African Guarantee Fund, which was launched last year, focuses on SME financing. Joining me today is Mr. Felix BIKPO, CEO of African Guarantee Fund, who is going to talk to us about his vision for the company. Hi.
Hi.
So, Mr. BIKPO, tell me a little bit more about AGF.
Thank you. Thank you for this invitation. The African Guarantee Fund is a non-bank financial institution set up by some European governments, especially the Danish government, the Spanish government, and the African Development Bank, with the objective of easing the access of SME to finance.
So how does the fund operate, and what impact does this have on the SME sector?
The fund is a guarantee fund, is a bank guarantee fund who is providing comfort to the banking system in order for them to transfer or direct their savings, their resources to the finance of the SME. What we do generally, we just try to buy this comfort. We just try to see how this bank who generally don't want to finance the SME sector to take more risk on this SME sector. So we provide them several types of guarantees that can help them to reduce the risk that we are taking in the SME sector. The effect on the SME sector is easy. As I said, previously before AGF, it is very difficult for the banking sector to try to take some what we call the long-term risk on the SME. And what we do now, we're trying to try to create the path for this SME to directly go to the banking sector and get the finances that they need. Without the SME sector, there is no growth. We used to say that in Africa, the engine of the growth is the SME. But if this SME cannot have the real financing that they need, will never be the engine of the growth. So the impact for them is to play the role that they need to play in Africa.
So what are the risks in funding the SME factor, and how does the AGF plan to overcome these risks?
This is the whole debate. We ask people to, especially the financing sector, to finance the SME. But the answer to us is, look, there are a lot of risks involved in this business. The major one, I think, is the fact that there is what we call asymmetry, information asymmetry between the SMEs and the banking system or the financial system. Asymmetry means the opacity that exists. You know, most of the time, SME don't want to provide, or they cannot provide the adequate information that the banks need to be able to size or assess properly the risk involved. The second one is most of the time, they don't have the capital, the resources, the long-term capital needed for them to have an acceptable financial situation that also, in front of the banking system, show that we are taking part of the risk involved. And the most important one, I think the two most important one for me is the fact that this SME, most of the time, cannot provide to the banking system the collateral. It's too complicated for them. And even if you have all of that, for a banker, you need to make sure that those who will use this funding know how to use it efficiently. It talks about the management skills. You need to make sure that the SMEs, the owners of the SME, the management of SME is good enough to use the funds that we give to them adequately. So all these obstacles are the risk that the banking system are facing. What are we doing for that? We provide different type of comfort via the guarantee system to reduce this risk, and also we provide what we call the capacity building for the banking system to know how to assess the SME risk, and also for the management of the SME to know how to use efficiently the money that we can give into them.
So what countries does AGF operate in, and why did you choose these countries?
Originally, let's say our expansion plan is in 3 phases. The first phase was 9 countries. I don't know if I can tell you the 9 countries, but it's 9 countries. And then in second phases, we have what we call some leading economies, not part of this 9 countries, we join. And then in the first phases, maybe the next 2 years, we'll try to cover the entire continent. The original 9 countries was chosen only because we did our feasibility study in these countries. So it is easy for us to know the market where we are going and to try to test our product in this market. And after these countries, after the 1 year of operation, we move to what we call the leading economies, where some other countries are satelliting for us to give more power and be able to cover more SME in a given region.
So how do you plan to raise capital in the future?
The original capital of AGF, as I previously said, came from the Danish government, the Spanish government, and the African Development Bank. It was $50 million to start, and the plan for the next 4 years is to bring this capital up to $500 million. It will come from our original founder, Danish, Spanish, and AFDB, and with government, European and African government, and more importantly, from the Development Financial Institution, DFI, that's sharing the same objective with our funding partners. So today, I can tell you that by end of next year, 2014, we have a commitment to be at $150 million, and the coming years will be maybe at $300 million, and finally at the $500 million, especially from DFIs and government, African and European government, and some other governments that are sharing the same objective.
Okay. So finally, how do you envision the transformation of the SME sector in Africa, and how do you see AGF contributing to that?
That's key. If the SME sector in Africa want to play their real role, as I said, we need to look at and tackle the obstacles that we are facing. Yes, financing, according to me, is the most important obstacle, but there are some others. Infrastructure as an obstacle, access to markets is an obstacle, and the legal environment, also let's say the business environment, is another factor that we need to look at properly. We are not specialists on these other 3 factors, but at least the most important one, which is the financing, access to finance, AGF is working hard to help the financing sector to create the appropriate product that the SME sector need for them to grow their business. And creating this product, we define the comfort products that can come to share the risk with this banking sector or the financing sector for us to go together and make sure that, again, these SME are playing their role of engine of the growth, creating jobs, especially for youth, and reducing poverty.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much. It's been very interesting to hear about what the African Guarantee Fund is doing, and we hope to hear from a lot more from you.
Thank you. It was very good. Thank you very much.